Hey, it's Ryan, and welcome to my ongoing series on the artistic entrepreneur. Now, my goal here is to reach fellow creatives like you and share some stories and advice about different ways that you can actually use your craft to support your art. And I'll be sharing some of the tools that I've been using that bring in some extra cash that I use to help pay for my singing lessons, but I'll also be joined with friends and colleagues in the industry that I've handpicked specifically because they are actually utilizing their performance skills and their knowledge in their careers. And one of the most fulfilling things I think we can do as humans in life is to share our journey, share our learned experience, and help each other out along the way. So I hope you'll continue to follow along and let me know what you are doing to succeed in your art, both creatively and financially. Now, I'm about to bring in two just gems, two hearts of the ocean. We have Jordan Stanley and Amanda Huxtable. I was able to do some fun summer stock theater with them years ago, and now they're living up in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. They are talented quadruple threats. They are every kind of threats. They are hysterical. They are fantastic actors. They sing. Do they dance? Do they dance?
They don't dance.
That is a question for the ages. They are comedians, and they also offer a full service of basically digital marketing for actors. I'll let them explain it a little bit more, what the whole package is, but first let's just bring them in. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How'd you like that intro?
Honestly, love it.
Especially highlighting our non-dancing, I think was really the most appropriate.
I feel seen.
I mean, I'm all about transparency here and being honest, and we all need to just acknowledge our truth.
You know what? That is our truth.
Be where you're at.
So you're both living up in Vancouver, and I think our audience would just like, since this whole podcast and this video is about being able to find good life balance of your artistic side and pursuing your craft, but also finding ways to support it financially. I just wanted you to just show off for a little bit. You've both been like booked and blessed recently. What are some of the projects that you've been working on?
You go.
Working on some fun TV shows. I don't know what I'm allowed to share yet. I guess the one that's already out is a new Air Bud TV series on Netflix called Phantom Pups. So from the creators of Air Bud, it was very fun. Had a fun little recurring role on that.
It was great. Just the best acting.
Yes.
No, it was very cute. It was so
really,
cute. It was
really
so
grounded and natural.
Utilizing the theater background.
Absolutely.
I had a fun little role in A Clusterfunk Christmas, which was a comedy kind of parody of the Hallmark movies with a lot of the SNL gals, Rachel Dratch, Anna Gasteyer, and a lot of other amazing actors, which was really, really fun. And then I've shot a few other things, but I don't think I'm allowed to share those yet in terms of TV.
TBD.
And you do a lot of, and you're both doing a voiceover project coming up too, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much
I think we could share that one.
Yeah, it's a Dutch musical that's like a big deal in Belgium, and we got asked to record several of the characters in the musical, dubbing in English for the audience members in the audience in Belgium to listen to essentially the English version as the musical happens. It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
So are you singing too, or is it mostly the spoken dialogue?
So far, they asked us, we had to send a bunch of singing clips for the auditions. So we may be singing at some point, it sounds like. For now, we've just dubbed the dialogue.
Oh, it just clicked in my mind. What it's the assisted listening sort of things. They have it in, especially for long running shows. Like, I mean, rest in peace, Phantom. But that's one of the shows where you could get, it's like a very special sort of iPod sort of device, and you can listen to the show in any different language because you have international audiences.
What's really interesting about this musical is they've set it in a theater that's 1,700 seats, and it's a huge space. So actually, even the Dutch listeners listen with a headset as well, because they would need to project so far. It's such a large space.
Wow.
So either way, you're listening through headset, which is really interesting.
That sounds like
wish
a
we could
cool.
hear it.
Yeah, we
go-
were like, should we go to
Should we go to
Belgium?
Belgium?
Yeah, big trip.
Yeah. And then Jordan just shot a commercial as well this week.
Yeah.
We've been doing some good commercials out
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
He can't share yet what it's for, but it's a fun one. You'll see it in the States. It'll be airing. It's a U.S. national, so no big deal.
Awesome.
And then you'll also be maybe pretty soon, maybe in the next week or so, I did a whole campaign for Kettle brand chips. So that's a U.S. national as well. So we won't necessarily see anything here in Canada, but you might.
Awesome.
Keep your eye out
I'll
for
keep
it.
my eyes open. So, I know you both. Did you both study theater in school? Is that how you made that decision early on as a teenager and said, my life is in the theater or my life is
Right.
acting, right? What a great age to make huge decisions about your life
Yeah,
trajectory.
totally.
Invest
Exactly.
thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, woof.
You know, like hundreds.
So without going into detail too much about what schools you went to, when you both ended up in New York City, and were you prepared for how much you would have to continue to invest in this career? Meaning headshots and lessons and master classes and pay-to-plays and all the gazillion things that go along with it. Were you
Right.
were you ready for that?
You had stronger opinions about this
I
than I
mean,
did.
yeah, I thought foolishly that I was like above having to pay any money for my career. So I would be one of the actors who didn't have to pay, and I'd just go from gig to gig and it would be great and I'd be booked and blessed. But obviously the reality is that you kind of have to, as the nature of like what you're doing changes. You have to invest in your business in order to stay current and keep the muscle alive. And my university didn't necessarily prepare me for that reality. And so then when you get out, you kind of have to realize that on your own too, which is
Yeah.
a struggle for me.
And I think I had an idea that it would be sort of something that I would always be doing. I imagined that I would always be doing voice lessons and dance lessons. We've since cut those out. And acting lessons. But I never, like you said, the pay-to-play situation was not something I had really realized.
I don't think it even
How important
existed.
that is.
I don't think it even existed
No.
until 2015 or something, you know?
Right. And I do think that that's one of the most important investments that you have to make, unfortunately, just because the market is so saturated, both in our time in New York City and in Vancouver, moving to a new place during COVID, where you're just sending self-tapes. So really the only way to meet people is to do the pay-to-plays, because you may never even meet them, even after you get booked on a job with them. You know,
Right.
you're not seeing casting directors on set. So it's definitely more than we would have imagined.
Sure. So I want to transition now into what you're doing, and you've created JS Productions, which so please just explain to the viewers what it is. It's a full media. Why am I even trying? You know what it is. It's your company.
Yeah, exactly. So I have been building websites since I was working on my MySpace when MySpace was a thing. But what I have done is created a business out of a passion of mine, website building, that we then together have worked to create sort of a full service digital design company is what we call it, that offers promotional services to actors and creative professionals in the business. So we do website design, reel editing, graphic design, branding, consultation services. We sort of offer the gamut of all things. Advertising for actors and artists.
Yeah, just kind of getting yourself out there, having the materials that you need for your online persona as well. So, you know, a website that really shows exactly who you are as an artist, as opposed to just a plain website. Like, he's amazing at really bringing out your type as an artist and showing casting or agents or directors exactly where they would put you just on the first page of your site.
And I just want to stop right there because we're already drawing these parallels to this like industry specific knowledge that it takes someone who's in the field to know by experience, by feedback from other casting people, from the only submissions that you're doing, to build this sort of custom site that reacts and gives the impression that an actor needs to give, just like an audition in the room, in such a quick amount of time for someone to look at a website and get that immediate reaction. Whereas Joe Schmo website builder, who probably makes beautiful websites, maybe for a company or for your landscaping service, if you ask them to build an actor website, well, the first thing they're going to do is say, send me some examples.
Right.
And whose examples are they going to give? Probably something that looks very much like yours.
Yeah.
So go to the source. Go to people that have really figured it out.
Yeah, well, and it's really enjoyable for us too, because I do our reel editing, and we both do what we call a vibe meeting with our clients before we start on any project, so that we can really get a sense of who they are as a person and also who they are as an artist, and then really work hard to incorporate that into their promotional materials. So when I'm doing a reel for someone, I want to talk to them about the roles that they've done and the roles that they hope to do and the shows that they want to be on. And again, using that experience to really clearly show that type and put them in the world. Like one of our clients had really wanted to be on HBO. And so we used just student films that she had, but we added the music and we added filters and we cut it all up to really feel like an HBO show. Lo and behold, she signed with Innovative recently, and she's on an HBO show. So it really does include a lot of that experience,
I think,
when we're working.
Briefly, the business is about framing yourself in a way that makes you unique to yourself. And the most powerful tool that you have is your own self. So what we try to do is take you and make that make sense to you particularly, and then to the industry. As two people
Who am I? But who am I?
Exactly. Help me. No, I know personally how hard it is to identify sort of the unique qualities about yourself and then market that. That feels yucky to do on your own. So like having a team to do that for you is much easier and also like really inspiring.
Yeah,
that's hard in general, but once you can get out of that comfort, that zone of being afraid to share, that's one of the things I'm doing through this right now. Is like I've reached a point where I'm welcoming more transparency into my life for the benefit of hopefully helping someone else. And like I've had the opportunity to have some interns work with me at the television studio that I'm at, and this was a few years ago now, and then they're following up and saying, oh, that made such an impact, and now I'm getting my film degree from this school or this school, and I'm going on, and I'm like, I can't believe I had this sort of impact on someone by sharing something. And
totally.
So, and that's something I encourage people in this community who are watching this to do as well, is approach your life from a spirit of sharing and giving back. And no matter where you are on your artistic journey, if you put it from a 1 to a 10, if you rate your singing as a 5, you can still pass on a lot of valuable information to someone who's a 1 through a 4. And it's a great place to test the waters and see, well, maybe I could be a great singing teacher. Same thing for here, so hearing you that you started off making MySpace pages, but someone might say, oh, I have a Wix page, or my Facebook looks really good, or I'm really good at Pinterest posts. It's a place to start and pass on that information and test the waters, because it might be a good hustle for you or another outlet for you. But what sets you both apart is how much you've continued to invest in your career. Amanda, you didn't know anything about video production, and now you are a master editor, probably doing Final Cut and Adobe Premiere stuff every day like it's nothing, right?
Yeah, that's so true. A few years ago was nothing that I had any experience in or really even thought about doing. And I completely taught myself everything that I know. COVID helped. A lot of hours available, a lot of YouTube tutorials, and
But I think because you're so detail oriented and because you sort of already had this like ability to see, like, oh, this should be this, it allowed you to have this natural transition to something that you didn't know how to do.
right.
But you
And
knew what
then
you wanted it
created-
to. You knew what you wanted it to be. You know what you wanted.
Exactly.
You know what you want in your own reel. How you can showcase either your comedy or your drama or whatever it is in between your soap opera acting. And you knew how you wanted. I'd love to see you on a soap opera.
God, I'm
Honestly,
ready.
me too.
I'm ready for my soap opera.
Honestly, but anyway, you know what you want in your reel. So to put that same passion and development into a client is exactly what you're doing. And now the skills are secondary. The vision is first. You know what you wanted, and you've learned the skills and continue to improve upon them to deliver an awesome product. And that's so commendable. It's awesome.
Well, I was gonna say too, I think like it's almost a director's eye that I find when I'm working on editing reels or I'm talking to clients. It's something that I have learned through my acting experience is how to tell the story throughout the reels, so we keep the audience engaged. We're moving quickly from thing to thing. We're getting a flow that's going to keep the audience engaged watching, which totally comes from my experience in storytelling as well. So, and that's my favorite part of it too. So it's exactly like what you were saying of just using those skills and learning new things and being brave to dive in and just
Well, it's never going to
it.
stop either. And, like we've admitted, to keep pursuing your craft, you're going to just have to keep taking those lessons and those acting classes, those real foundation building classes, and then those paid opportunities as well. You're going to continue to build upon this because this is what's serving you financially right now too. So that can't slack either.
Exactly.
I think one of the best ways maybe that I can further showcase exactly what you're doing is maybe if you describe the new rep prep package that you offer. Maybe if you sort of outline what's in that, because that sounds really, really cool.
Well, it's been something that's kind of come out of necessity for both of us, because in working with artists on websites, on reels, on promo posters, all of these different things, business cards, we're often talking about finding representation. So agents, managers, a lot of our clients come to us early on in their career as well, and they're looking for their first website and how do I find an agent? What should I be showing them? So we ended up, spending a lot of time talking to them about how to find representation already. And like you were saying, in the spirit of sharing, we love doing that. So we were spending a lot of time kind of for free, which we love, but we were finding that we were losing a lot of time as well, just kind of giving this information up because we wanted to, even with our friends, like our community. It's something that I've talked to friends about for years. I've helped a lot of friends get agents and managers just because I love it. So
well,
your
time is valuable, and is something that I've had to come to terms with too with my video production services. Is there was definitely a building period where you wanted to have proof of concept,
Right.
You wanted, so you're offering things at a lower rate so that you can build up your portfolio then you can, but then once that was established and my time became more valuable, well, I became worth more money too.
Yeah.
So when you're delivering a premium product, something that you have invested to bring up your skill set and that you are confident you can deliver on a regular basis, it becomes easier, but it is scary when you up your prices the first time
and even asking friends to pay. Now it's something that I offer as a service, and I'll do a Zoom consult with you. We'll chat through where you're at in your submission process. I have a lot of materials that we've come up with tips for writing your email submissions.
Not to mention the deep dive into sort of like what we talk about, what makes you sort of uniquely you, and how can I sell myself as an actor.
That's a personalized process right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it was hard in the beginning because we just wanted to share that with everyone. And
but how's the response been? I bet people didn't bat an eye.
Yeah, it's been great actually, and we've been working with a lot of friends and getting referrals to their friends and expanding more and more.
And I would say in a lot of ways, it's actually more helpful that we're offering it as a package because it allows us to draw boundaries around sort of what we're doing. So it's clearer when we're offering people a package
Right.
versus like just having a conversation.
Taking
Right, and then I
taking
can
mental
follow up
notes,
with
taking mental notes.
Yes.
Oh, can you do
It's
one more?
hard.
Can you do one more edit here? And can you do one more change here? And can you just
Yeah.
change?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yes.
no, you get 3 sets of edits, and then you are done. Everything else is.
And I guess it's important to say too that like that's a learning process that will never end as well. Like we're always learning how to better offer our services to people and better qualify sort of what we offer so we're not being taken advantage of as well.
Yeah.
Right.
We both want them to have everything that they need, but we also have to have time. We'll probably talk about this later, but the work-life balance of 2 actors in the same household also running a business,
It doesn't exist.
there is no time. So we do have to really strictly, follow, okay, you get an hour meeting for this, and then you get a half-hour meeting for this. And like you said, we have 1 round of edits included in this package. If you need more, then we have a bigger package where we can support you for longer. But we do have to have enough time to do 17 self-tapes this week,
Right, right. Well, yeah, let's continue on that. How does this balance work for you? How do you make it all work? Do you make time to go to auditions, to pop away
How
to do
do
a
we?
gig?
Yeah, that's the
No
question
sleep?
of the hour for
Yeah.
sure. I think, like I said, it's a learning process. I think at the beginning we were like, oh, great, we don't really have a lot of auditions, so we'll spend all of our time in the website business and branding and stuff. And then as we've gotten more and more auditions, we've been like, oh, okay, so let's sort of take what we're doing and try to like set time for it. Really, during COVID, we changed from a digital schedule to a physical schedule. And now what we've done is block out flexible blocks of time for auditions during the week. So whenever anything comes up, we can sort of move what we were scheduled to do to that time and sort of like flip-flop everything. It is a creative endeavor.
We're still learning very much, but yeah, I think setting those times, like we set usually 3 or 4 days a week with 4 to 6 hour chunks of time for auditions. And then we move that around as needed. And luckily with COVID, it's mostly been self-tapes. So, sometimes when we're going in for theater, we have to go in person, but there's less of those auditions, like they happen, less throughout the year. Whereas commercials and TV and voiceover, we're doing those daily. So we have to have the time reserved for that.
The one thing that I will say, speaking of what you're talking about, is it's actually amazing to be able to have the business that we do have, because all of our clientele are actors and artists. They sort of understand when we are working in our parallel profession as actors, oh, I booked a gig, so I can't get you this website project by this date. I'll get it to you by this date. And instead of a corporation who might have a little bit of red tape
You're
around
fired.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Actors are like, yes, that's amazing. So it's like this supportive community that is really, really amazing to
And
be
I
able
think
to
it
work
shows
with.
them too that we're working in the same field
Totally.
that we're helping support them in. So there's a bit more trust too as well of, oh, okay, well, they're doing exactly the thing that I'm looking to do. So of course, go do that thing so you can
Right.
learn more and help support me get there as well.
Yeah, I'm curious how being so involved in the digital side of things, how it has, and the investment that you're doing to keep on top of trends, how that has served you in your artistic pursuits.
It's been so helpful.
It's honestly directly beneficial to what we do, because when we're learning something from our clients, we're literally indirectly applying that to our careers as well. Oh, I learn about the show from you because you're like, oh, I really want to be on this show. Well, then I go and research the show and I'm like, oh, I'd like
really
to be
wanna
on that show as well.
Right.
Yeah, and even like a lot of our clients are creative professionals as well, not just performers. So
Right.
casting directors, choreographers, music directors. We have a lot of composers. And so when we're working with them as well, then we're learning what they're directing and they're meeting us as humans as well as actors. So that's been a huge benefit.
And then,
to
of
our
course, in the
careers.
way that you represent yourself, you're teaching other people. So, of course, your blind call, your blind email submissions, and the way that you represent yourself, your imagery on your website, and the way you've branded yourself is probably the epitome of an example of what people can look at when they're looking to develop your website.
You would hope, wouldn't you? Yeah, one would hope. I think, like, this is to my point, it's actually really difficult to turn the lens back on yourself and be like, well, let me take the tools that I use every day and apply them to myself. I come with all of my insecurities and my feelings about my own craft and hating the sound of my own voice. And so when I try to apply that sort of stuff to myself, it's equally difficult. So it's a process for sure.
It's helpful being in a couple, though, because we provide, like I was thinking, we have this website subscription service. So every month you can pay to be part of our subscription, and we'll update your website for you regularly, which I think is a really important thing for artists, because otherwise we let things go, and maybe even a small reading that you did, you forget about a couple months later, but somebody coming to your site and seeing that you did a reading with this director who they know could be the reason that you get cast. So with the subscription service, you're constantly updating, and that's something that neither of us ever normally did for ourselves. But now I could just log on as a client for the great website designer, and I put in my monthly updates too, and I probably wouldn't think about it if I weren't reminding our clients about
to do it
their
on the regular
subscription.
basis. Yeah.
Now that she's saying it, I'm like, I should submit the form for myself because then I'll do the work.
I'm wondering. Of course, your time is very valuable, but I'm wondering if you have any specific little tips or tricks for someone who's just starting to create a web presence and brand themselves. Any words of advice you can give them if they're just starting off?
Yeah, we actually, Jordan taught a class on this for casting director Michael Casera when he was working at Wright State University. So he's actually done a whole class on this. So he's probably, not to put him on the spot, but
what did I say?
Probably got a few tips and tricks.
I think the main thing, I'll come back to it for the third time now, is addressing what unique qualities about yourself that often your friends or your family, or you sort of have this sense of yourself. Like, if I was to use myself for an example, I'm a goofy guy who's like really outgoing, kind of like a cartoon character. So how can I use that sort of aspect, that intangible aspect of myself, and spin it in a positive way and make that part of the package that I offer, right?
Yeah, and then kind of the more logistical side, I would say building
from Amanda.
Yeah, building, on Wix or Squarespace is great for people that don't have a lot of experience. Squarespace is easier for people who don't have much design experience. Wix offers more customization. So for artists, we prefer to work on Wix and we build from scratch. And then you can really add a lot of neat features that kind of show, like we were talking about, your personality, your type, what shows you might be on. But if you're just starting out and you just want something clean and easy, Squarespace is really great and pretty affordable as well.
I would say here's another quick tip as well. If you're looking to sort of capitalize on what you've decided is your brand, steal from the shows that you think you would be on. So if you decide that you really want to be on what's a good show, on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, use the way that Marvelous Mrs. Maisel advertises itself as inspiration for your website. If you really want to be on Mrs. Maisel, use a font that looks like Mrs. Maisel.
Like, we've done that for a couple of our clients. We did a little bit on my website, amandahuxtable.com. Not as heavy-handed, though. We were kind of not going for the Maisel herself vibe, but as like a secondary character. And then Liz, what's Liz's website?
Liz Fleming, .com.
Her site, you can really see she really wanted to like use some of that Maisel branding. So we went heavier there to just... Somebody goes to your site and they see immediately agents, directors, casting. Oh yeah, I could see her on that show.
The stats on people's lightning fast impressions of you online are mind-boggling. It's like 0.6 seconds and your brain has already made an impression of whether or not I like what I'm looking at. So you have an extremely limited amount of time to use like pictures and colors and fonts to give your brain an impression of like, oh, that person is like that. You know,
Exactly. So we
And
use
that
in our
goes, that
reels as
translates
well,
all the
you
way
know?
down to your resume. I'm thinking about even outside of my performing resume, my creative resume that I used for my video production job. It was a Canva template, but it had colors and it popped and it had
Yeah.
interesting fonts and
Exactly.
things. And that's what got me in the door. I heard months later from
Exactly.
the people that interviewed me, that cover letter and that fancy thing, we'd never seen anything like that before. That was really special, and it showed
Yeah.
that it put down all your legitimate information, but it showed that you were creative as well. It showed a different side of you. So I wonder what having a Comic Sans font will say about me. With my name really big in Comic Sans, Jordan.
Exactly.
There you go. It will say something for sure. It's a
say so.
strong impression.
I think so many of the marketing materials that you make for yourself as an actor or a creative professional are done quickly or like, oh, let me like just do this to get it out there without a ton of thought. But like when you look at the world, everything you're doing is an opportunity to market yourself in the way that you want people to see you. So you have the ability and the power to affect people's perception about you by using Comic Sans as your font.
It's a very powerful tool, and you have so much control of how you represent yourself and how you put yourself out into the world, whether it's through your website, but even think about your social media, because that's becoming more and more important for casting directors too. They're looking at your Facebook page and your Instagram and your TikTok, and they want to see you. They want to see you. So
well, that's something in our websites too. It's not just about like, these are my glossy headshots and here's my resume. It's really, and same with for your reel, you know, it's really, who is this person? Like, I want to start with your reel clip, with the clip that is the most you, the most what you bring to the table when you walk in the room. Who is this person? Same with for your website. So we use a lot of like indie pics, or maybe pics that you've just snapped yourself, or fun photo shoots that show your personality, as opposed to my standard, you know, just me in my black t-shirt headshot.
Right.
Which is another great tip for people looking to do it on a budget too. It's like, you don't need to invest a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Go out and like go with your friends, look at some of the photography and images that you're seeing on these shows that you want to be on, and then match it and inspire yourself, and then
And same
use
for
that.
theater, you know, you want to be in Legally Blonde, go do a fun photo shoot in your pink outfit with a pooch, you know, borrow the neighbor's dog, get
Dogs
some cute,
required.
get some cute photos, and let that be your landing page.
Well, if you
So,
didn't take anything else away from it, dogs sell. So just
Dogs
put,
and Comic Sans sell.
Yes. Papyrus only.
oh, papyrus. I love that.
Yes.
Jordan and Amanda, it's been so great having you on. I'm really grateful. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm just so excited to see how your careers are evolving, and having this this business is just incredible too. So congratulations on all of your successes.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you
too.
so much.
Look at you doing
Yes.
this too. You've got so much going on as well. You're an inspiration to us all.
Oh, thanks.
Aw.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of The Artistic Entrepreneur. If you're watching this and you are in a creative field and you have found that magic secret sauce of finding that perfect side hustle or that other career path that you're actually using some of your skills and talents in, I definitely want to know. So give me a call, get in touch with me. I'd love to bring you on and interview you, and just continue to share your journey and what you're doing to hustle and make it, whether you're in New York City or Vancouver like Amanda and Jordan. Keep going for it and keep sharing, because believe it or not, it gives you such a sense of pride, and to share with other people and help people along the way. So thanks for tuning in to my episode. Take care.